My Auntie B from old Dundee would often drink 10 cups of tea while watching Coronation Street. She really thought it such a treat to just sit there and watch the show. And in the adverts, she would go and void the fluid from her tank, all that tea that Auntie drank. Her neighbour was a foreign man, a native North American, who also enjoyed a cup of tea since moving into old Dundee, and, chatting over their garden gates, they soon became the best of mates, and so she asked him in for tea and to watch the show on her TV. This man, the North American gent, resided in a buffalo skin tent, and so some evenings she would go next door to watch Hawaii Five-0. But prim and proper Auntie B was too shy to ask for the WC, and because he was a gentle soul, he contained his with muscular control. And they would while away the day drinking cups of hot Earl Grey, the two of them just sitting there, squirming in their TV chairs. Once, during a double episode, they drank so much they did explode. They found this couple from Dundee had drowned there in their own teepee. Hamish Killick, from the city of Wick, was proud of his heritage line, and he gallantly told of his ancestors bold, and drank whiskey and green ginger wine. He grandly would say how they came from Norway to pillage and plunder and rape. His tales were the best from old Inverness right up to the John o' Groat's Cape. In his Wick's tartan kilt with his broad Scottish lilt, the tourists were always regaled. From the North Sea so broad, with a shield and a sword, he would tell how his ancestors sailed. With their longboats and swords, these bold Viking hordes sailed into the Wick unannounced, to murder the men, and after that, then, onto the wee lasses they pounced. So frightening and feared, with red whiskers and beard, these chaps ran amok through the village. With their bloodlust and greed, they sowed all their seed, as they raped and they plundered and pillaged. Hamish thundered and roared, and the folks would applaud. His historic tales were a winner, till, at 8:15, through the distillery gate, his wife dragged him home for his dinner. The Ballad of Tim and Prue. Timothy G lived in Old Albany, a beautiful town to live, but like so many guys, he could not organise, and his memory was like a sieve. It wasn't that Tim was stupid or dim. If you thought so, you would be wrong. He had 3 PhDs and so many degrees, his doorplate was 12 inches long. He knew so much, yet Tim used to forget to eat or to comb his hair. Not remembering to file, he left notes in a pile, and his memos were strewn everywhere. One of his students, a woman called Prudence, was admired by this crazy professor. He fancied young Prue, so he set out to woo, in the hopes that he just might impress her. Hoping he might win her, he asked her to dinner, and it took lots of courage for Tim, but she quickly said yes to his earnest request, because she too was enamoured with him. They drank and they dined, as they were inclined, and they both enjoyed themselves rotten. And at the end of the night, Tim realised in fright his wallets and cards he'd forgotten. It just wasn't his day, but Prue said she'd pay and got money out of her purse. He wrote an IOU and promised young Prue the money he would reimburse. But she never thought less of this scatty professor and thanked him for the lovely evening, and as meek as a mouse, they drove back to her house, where she gave him a kiss on the doorstep. After several more dates, they became more than mates, and he asked her to become his spouse. And it didn't offend him when she organised his agenda and tidied the rest of his house. So Prue and Tim G are as blissful as can be, and their marriage is a raging success. Tim works hard and good, like all husbands should, and Prue cleans up all of his mess.